What's happening?
A supporter. Thanks so much for being a supporter, Mahai. Salute to you, Dakota, for joining us here on the show. And hey, even the font for the comments changes. I just realized that. Maybe it's done that before and I didn't realize it, but leave me alone. I'm getting old. But Libre, I thought we would get started before we started to talk about the topic of today's show. I was saving it for the Broncos OT part of the show, but I feel like since everybody's talking about it, can't wait. Let's talk Super Bowl. The Super Bowl just happened 2 days ago from the airing of the show. And who did you pick to win the Super Bowl last week? Just to recap.
I think I did pick the Eagles. The Fly Eagles Fly.
Yes, sir. So did I. Fly Eagles Fly. And man, these guys went stealth bomber mode, whatever the fastest flying thing in the world is, whether it's mechanical or mammal. I mean, they went hard. And ladies and gentlemen, I sat here last week and I told you, and I wish I would have put money on it because then I actually would have won something. I told you guys that one of the keys to victory, one of them I thought was going to be Saquon. I was wrong on that part. But these guys, the defense, Vic Fangio played chess while the Chiefs were playing checkers. I mean, the man got to Patrick Mahomes without blitzing a single time. Not once. And the only time that they did, they got called back because it was a penalty on the Eagles. And it got called back. So seeing that Eagles front defensive line, literally, even though they only got 6 sacks, they got so many pressures on Patrick Mahomes for 3 quarters that it was just beyond amazing. And I only say 3 quarters because toward the start of the fourth, the game was already out of reach that the Eagles pulled their starters back as a sign of mercy. If the Eagles really wanted to, which I'm surprised that they didn't, especially seeing how they lost 2 years ago, I was not expecting the starters to get pulled at all because it's not like they were going to play next week for another Super Bowl. But it's just crazy to me, Libre, how they were. It was almost like watching what happened with the Bucs and the Chiefs. It was almost like the exact same game, except different colors. And it was just like, you guys know me. Obviously, on this channel, we're never going to root for Chiefs. We're never going to root for Raiders, and we're never going to root for the Chargers to win. Not never. Unless it comes to a situation that benefits the Broncos in some sort of way, like playoff implications and seeding and whatnot. Then maybe. But aside from that, which is very rare, watching the Chiefs get their ass handed to them was just wonderful. Because it put an end to this whole 3P crap that we've been listening to for the entire season. Their confidence has got to be shot to hell. Okay. And it's going to ask a whole lot more questions that they have answers for, because now they have to go into free agency. Now they have to try to control their spending. Now they're going to have to try to figure out, because I can almost guarantee you, and this is a hot take, I can almost guarantee you guys that what we saw this past season is not going to happen again. I can honestly tell you that, because it just feels like a giant momentum has shifted in the NFL. And it's basically everybody in other podcasts that I've been listening to the last couple of days, I've been talking about the blueprint on how to beat the Chiefs. Vic Fangio just laid it out there in plain view. And it's a miracle that we didn't see it before when Vic Fangio was here in Denver. Libre, your thoughts?
For the game itself, I saw like a lot of people posting on the social medias and people reaching out to me saying, man, this game is so boring. I'm like, no, it's not. This is not boring whatsoever, because of the fact that we got to see Kansas City get their asses handed to them. And by Vic Fangio's defense, like how you were saying, there was no rushes whatsoever for this game. As a statistical stat for the game, there was not a single rush at all for the game itself. But what was the difference here that I think that even if all the other teams had this recipe to go ahead and do that, they didn't have the personnel of what these defensive linemen for the Eagles that were able to go in there and just put that pressure with those four. They had, hey, we're going to take our four and we're going to beat you five. Try to stop us. And the amount of pressure that they actually got to him, and that's what disrupted a lot of the passing plays and so forth, didn't give him enough time to actually get out there. And I just actually saw something earlier today, too, about Travis Kelce, where he was coming off the line late, where the line was already moving and the defense was moving, and he was just barely moving itself. I don't know if there was something that was going on with him, something else in his head, but he did not look like the Travis Kelce of old, or just even during the season itself. Where is it time for him to say, let's hang it up and let me just spend more time with Tay or whatnot? But the way that Vic Fangio put that defense and the way that he had them focus for this game was top notch, and you saw it right there. And truly, I felt like Vic Fangio should have been the MVP of the game.
I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with you on that, Libre. I mean, it sucks. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is Vic Fangio's first Super Bowl victory.
It is,
which is really, really hard to believe when I read that, because